My name is Evelyn Hartwell. I'm 71. I retired as the head of a hotel group that began as a wooden roadside motel by a main bay and became a collection of resorts and city boutique hotels along the eastern seaboard. I have one daughter, Roan. For most of my life I preferred the spotlight to fall not on me, but on the guests, the bride trembling at the touch of silk, the old senator tapping his toe to a midnight big band, the two nurses on the lobby floor, sharing a pomegranate muffin at 4 a.m. I never needed applause. I built everything quietly. I liked that quiet, like a stone in the harbor, shaped by waves yet steady. So when a message lit up my phone, "Mom, we'd prefer you not attend. It's better for the atmosphere." I didn't raise my voice. I simply stopped breathing. The message arrived 3 weeks before Roan's wedding. 3 weeks after I wired $40,000 to the planner as a deposit. A gift. With no strings. Or so I believed. I reread it. We'd prefer, no apology, no explanation. A simple, cool revision of my place in her life. As if I were a smudge on a photograph to be wiped away with a filter. I didn't reply. My hands shook, not from anger, but from recognition. It had been coming for years, the way she rolled her eyes at family dinners, the way her fiancé called me, Ev, like a former colleague, not a mother, the way they fell silent when I asked whether to bring my mother's sapphire earrings, 3 generations, a living memory. They wanted my support, not my traditions. That same day the planner called. Her voice was brightly professional. Mrs. Hartwell, confirming the deposit. The couple decided to upgrade the venue for a live jazz band. It's going to be amazing. I set my forefinger on the handle of the porcelain cup. The hairline crack on the rim sang as I placed it on the saucer. My late husband, Graham, once said, "Some things break beautifully. After that they hold even tighter, because they've already endured." I inhaled. "In fact," I said, "cancel everything." A pause on the other end. I'm sorry, but you're not the bride." "No," I answered evenly. "I'm the person who owns that waterfront hall you booked. The catering you're using is ours, too. And the hotel group where your 200 guests are meant to stay." Silence. Not mine, hers. I set down the cup. The chip on the handle caught the light. Roan once drank hot chocolate from it, pressed against me after school when kids teased her thrift store boots. Back then I told her, value exists even when no one sees it. I should have told myself the same. She is my only child. Everything Graham and I built, we built with her in mind. And now she cut me out, neat and bloodless, like trimming off a spare ribbon from a bouquet. Perhaps that really was better for the atmosphere. But atmosphere sometimes needs a reminder. Walls don't stand without a foundation. There's no bloom without roots. There is no wedding without the quiet woman you decided to erase. I didn't argue. I laid my palm on the cracked cup, on myself, and, for the first time in a long while, felt a clear wholeness. After the call I didn't cry. I took an album from the old chest, the first one Graham and I filled in Middle Harbor when we had only 12 rooms and a ceiling that leaked every storm. The leather smelled of cedar and home. Graham was a quiet man. He spoke only when there was something to say. He didn't seek footlights, but he always found me in the dark. I was 23, working the reception desk of a worn-out motel with stained carpets and a raccoon in the supply room. I planned to leave at season's end. Then he walked in, with a toolbox and a ledger. "This place could shine," he said, "if it were loved enough." He meant the building, and me. A year later we married. He proposed in the backyard beside a split hose and a patch of wild lavender. His dream wasn't merely to repair a structure, but to create a place that would outlast us, where people celebrate love, heal from loss, and begin again. He believed in places that keep memory. That's how the Hartwell collection was born. He fixed the rooms one by one. I ran the budgets, washed linens, chose bedding and wines, listened to guests while they believed no one was listening. By Roan's 10th birthday we had 4 properties. By her college graduation, 31. Lead with soul, the money will catch up, he said. He wasn't building an empire, he was building a life in which I was safe being myself, wife, mother, partner. Years before he died we sat under the stars. He had just signed trust papers for Roan and a succession plan. If anything happens to me, he said, you'll safeguard what we built. I kissed his hand and promised. 3 winters ago he slipped away with the warmth of chamomile, the heart, without pain. At the memorial Roan was there in body, not in spirit. She answered calls during the eulogy. Then I blamed grief. Now, I'm not sure. She didn't ask about the business. She never stepped into his office. She didn't return to the first hotel. Her focus shifted, glossy friends, curated parties, image, curation. She was building something too, a display, not a home. I kept my promise. Not from obligation, from love. The assets he left were a trust. I transferred nothing, kept everything in my name, not from fear, but out of respect for our we. Roan didn't ask. She assumed. And I didn't correct her. Perhaps that was my mistake, or my quiet way of waiting until the truth spoke for itself. The next morning I slid open a drawer from his office and took out a black fountain pen with a gold band. A 20th anniversary gift. He'd signed every agreement and every letter with it. After he died, I hid it, I couldn't look at it. Today it felt right. I called June Whitmore, our longtime attorney. I need all active contracts for Harborcrest Estate, Harbor Table, and the Hartwell House Boston Room Block, I said. And termination forms. Paper, not email. Today? I'll sign at 5. At 4:45 p.m. I walked into their conference room. 3 folders on the table, a wax seal beside them. June worked the way Graham liked, black and white, without theatrics. The first folder, the venue advance for Harborcrest. The second, a 192 guest room block. The third, catering that hadn't yet purchased perishables. No obstacles expected, she said. But are you sure you want to do this quietly? Quieter than a kettle before the whistle, I replied. I signed. Not in anger, in clarity. I wasn't ruining her day. I was simply declining to fund a celebration from which I'd been written out. At 6:37 a.m., the phone rattled non-stop. The name on the screen, Mark Avery, the groom. Did you cancel the wedding? No punctuation. 5 flat words. No, I typed. I closed what I never blessed. I don't know what he felt reading that. But I know he understands numbers, contracts, logistics. Atmosphere doesn't pay invoices. By noon the phones were lit. Wedding blogs gnawed their way to the fact, Dalton Suites, forgive me, now Hartwell House Boston, confirmed that the owner personally withdrew services. They didn't print my name, no need. In this city they know who holds the key. I sat in the garden with coffee. The wind touched the hydrangeas like a pianist's fingers. Somewhere above, in Roan's loft, the quiet likely cracked. She walked out of a fitting and heard from the planner, venue, rooms, catering, all terminated. Full ownership, with your mother. No one had to say my name. It was enough to understand that atmosphere doesn't rent halls without foundation. That evening Roan called herself. I thought you didn't care about the picture, she began, cold as glass. I don't care about the picture, I answered, but I do care about dignity. Why now? Why ruin everything? I ruined nothing. You removed me first. Mom, don't dramatize. It's just atmosphere. You've said that, I replied. And it was true. Mark's family has a taste for the select, not for the living. That's unfair. No, what's unfair is calling a mother an obstacle and instructing strangers not to admit her to land that is hers. She was silent a long time, then rasped. You always control everything. I always show up, I corrected. And I pay when no one else pays. So you're really shutting it all off? I already have. You have 2 weeks to learn how much atmosphere costs. The first to appear on my doorstep wasn't Roan, it was the planner, Cara Nelson. No makeup, a large white envelope. I wanted to return the plans to the person who paid for them, she said. I set down a small envelope with 2 spa vouchers. These are for you. She blinked. Why? You look like you haven't breathed in weeks. She cried quietly. I thought you'd burn it all down. You could have. You own the hall, the kitchen, even the label on the cake box. I don't teach my daughter lessons by shouting, I said. I show what strength can be, without a crowbar. The next day local TV shoved microphones at Roan and Mark outside a Newbury Street cafe. Any comment on the cancellations? They asked. Mark tugged her hand, no comment. But his look had changed. Doubt is a crack you can't spackle with a press release. That evening a packet arrived from June. Inside, a printout of an email Roan had sent the planner before my decision. To preserve elegance and avoid emotional strain, please exclude my mother, Evelyn Hartwell, from the guest list and do not admit her to the premises. Her presence would be disruptive. She hadn't even capitalized mother. Disruptive. Paradoxical, they made me the storm while I was making tea. I didn't tear the page. I placed it in Roan's old wedding scrapbook, between childhood dress sketches and magazine clippings. A bookmark between who we were and who we'd become. That same night another letter lay in the mailbox, from Eileen of Worcester. Your husband gave my Peter his first job. You replied to our thanks. You wrote, if you can lift someone with one hand and still keep your own life afloat, you must. I sat at the kitchen table and cried, not about broken trust, but about memory arriving like a light under a closed door. Kindness doesn't need a stage. It lives in other people's letters for years. I once met Mark's mother. It was at an engagement party at a winery near the Finger Lakes. Calligraphed napkins, water with lemon curled like a comma. Roan glowed in powder pink. I carried the place cards, handwritten, because my daughter asked. Mark's mother, Marjorie Avery, drifted over as if carried by freshly pulled beets. She assessed me with one glance, from shoes to the pearls Graham gave me on our 30th. You must be Roan's mother, she said, without a smile. You're more traditional than I expected. Period. The kind that turns a woman into a decor detail. I smiled, carried water to someone else, stepped back to the hydrangeas, and watched the social ballet. Mark spoke to his mother almost as attentively as to his fiancée. Roan looked at them both, and at the image between them. A cool whisper, careful, Evelyn. This isn't your ground. But I chose quiet. I wanted to believe love could soften family habits. After the terminations, vendors fell away one by one. Cara formally withdrew from the event. A venue owner told me in church, I don't take bookings from people who treat family like that. Roan tried to save the illusion, posted a photo captioned, only love here. The comments cut, is it true the venue owner is your mother? They say Mark grew tired of counting apologies. He called Hartwell House and overheard what he wasn't meant to, all contracts were signed personally by Ms. Hartwell. He came home, where champagne chilled in a bucket and candles burned on the sideboard, and asked. Why didn't you tell me your mother paid for everything? Roan kept ironing a white robe, movements mechanical. She doesn't belong to our new family, she said slowly. I didn't want you to feel obliged. You let her fund it all and barred her from attending. She would have unsettled us. Mark looked at the robe. It's flawless, he whispered. Like glass. And he left, softly, the way men do when they suddenly notice a crack in a myth. That evening a short note appeared on my doormat. Miss Hartwell, I owe you an apology. I see it now. M. I placed it beside Roan's printout. 2 truths in one drawer. I didn't go. But people told me. The wedding moved to a municipal banquet hall on the outskirts of Providence. Beige walls, worn carpet. No chandeliers. No marble. Just lamps and folding chairs. A third of the expected guests came. Roan walked the empty aisle without a bouquet. The florist declined the day before. No music, the quartet cancelled. Only her footsteps. The ceremony, quick as a shoot. Plastic ivy overhead. No one cried from joy. Mark hesitated before the kiss. Not passion, protocol. I pictured her face, beautiful, but without light. Beauty can't cover emptiness. She got a picture without a heart. A performance without an audience. A curtain without applause. I wrote a short note, Roan, you didn't uninvite me from the wedding. You stepped away from love without conditions. I wish you peace, even if it's without me. Kara delivered it. Later she told me Roan's hands trembled as she read. The tears were real. Not for photos. Not for likes. For truth. That night I opened Graham's journal. In the margin he'd underlined, forgiveness isn't forgetting. It's choosing peace where one could choose conflict. I poured tea. I chose quiet. Peace doesn't arrive with fireworks. It grows like moss. I walked through Harborcrest and pulled down the heavy drapes. Let in light. Transplanted rosemary. Taught managers to listen. Instituted a rule, the first banquet each season is for staff and their families. I signed grants for culinary scholarships for teens from the waterfront blocks. I didn't call Roan. On New Year's I wrote one sentence in my diary, peace is a daily act. Late spring, a postcard with no return address. Her name is Delaney. I thought you should know. A small photo, eyes the rare gray of the sea, Graham's laughter in the pupils. I stood by the mailbox and felt a window open in my chest. I set the kettle on, laid the picture beside the Yosemite frame, and let the warmth speak. I didn't respond that day. Distance isn't a slamming door. It's a door on the latch. Summer. The courtyard fountain counts time like a metronome. New signs describe a carbon-neutral kitchen and scholarships. On the bench I place 3 frames, Graham in a straw hat, me at a lobby opening, little Delaney, a small island of light. June brings a ribboned folder, schedule, press tour Tuesday. Staff blessing Thursday. Family day Saturday. On page 1, Whitmore House in memory of Graham. He'd object, I say. Let's keep it simple, Whitmore House. Built on love. Open to anyone who needs a beginning. And the children's room? Delaney's corner, I reply. With your permission. You have it. I'm no longer frightened by the word belongs. I see stewardship, not power. In the evening, as the sun slides over the olive branches, I hear steps on the gravel. Slow, uneven. The gate creaks. On the porch, Roan. Thinner than I remember. Without the armor of perfect fabrics. In her arms, a child in a cloud-colored blanket. We look at each other for a long time. She speaks first. I don't know where to begin. With the truth, I say. She swallows. I'm ashamed. Shame is a decent start. It doesn't build, but you can take the scaffolding down from it. She lifts Delaney higher. She loves the sound of the fountain. Harborcrest will teach her to sleep to the sound of the sea, I answer. Mom, she stops, searching for words. I turned love into a display. I wanted everything smooth. And I erased what everything is made of, you. I'm quiet. Then I nod, not as absolution, as a statement of fact. I'm not asking for forgiveness, she says. I'm asking for a chance to learn. Forgiveness isn't forgetting, I reply. It's choosing peace where one could choose conflict. I've chosen it for myself. Every day. She nods. May I, her voice catches. May I come here sometimes? Just be. No cameras. No plans. You may, I say. But there are rules. Staff and children always get dessert first. We listen before we speak. And no one uses the word atmosphere when we're talking about people. Roan laughs, faintly, but truly. She holds out Delaney. I take her, warm as fresh milk, heavy with real presence. Hello, little one, I whisper. You were expected here. Saturday. The courtyard fills, housekeepers, gardeners, dishwashers, administrators, their families, enter the hall first. The jazz band rehearses softly, without microphones, music that knows how to be a guest. I stand by the archway. The sign reads, Whitmore House. Built on love. Open to anyone who needs a beginning. Roan stands aside with Delaney. Her eyes follow the staff the way they once followed trends. There's a new kind of learning in her gaze. Mark approaches with a plate bearing 3 identical slices of pecan pie. He sets one in the stroller. I hear the cook's laugh, offers one to Roan, the third to me. I learned to bake, he says. Atmosphere? I tease. Pies, he smiles. Atmosphere shows up when people are fed. We eat in silence. The sweetness crunches. The chandeliers catch the sun, but it doesn't wash out the faces, they shine on their own. They hand me a microphone. I don't like microphones. But people wait for a few words. Every house has a key, I say. Ours is quiet that respects human dignity. We don't put the picture first. We put people first. I look at the staff. The first thanks goes to you. A house stands not on bricks, but on hands. Applause, warm, sincere, not loud. I set the mic down. Roan waits. I walk to her. Mom, she says, I brought something. She pulls a small envelope from her bag. Inside, our old family photo, Graham and me in front of that first motel, dusty and paint spattered, ridiculous and happy. On the back, her handwriting, thank you for the foundation. I don't cry. I simply let air in and out, deeply. Here, I say. This is your key. And I hand her the black fountain pen. The same one. She looks at me wide-eyed. Are you sure? Yes. A house has many doors. Open the ones that lead to people. She grips the pen. For a moment I see her as long ago, a girl at the kitchen table with unruly hair, writing her first essay. I'll learn, she says. And I'll keep listening, I answer. In the evening we sit on the bench. Delaney sleeps on my chest, warm and trusting. The fountain reflects the stars. Mom, Roan whispers, I know forgiveness isn't erasing. It's choosing peace, I say. Every day. What if I make mistakes again? We have a garden, I smile. Plants teach us this, transplanting is no shame. Night listens to us. I think of all the rooms we've cleaned, the tables we've set, the quiet dishes that will wait again and again. Of the cracked cup that still holds warmth. Of the letters that store kindness. Of women learning to speak in a voice that doesn't wound, even when they've been cut. I think of Graham. Of how he taught me to open doors with one hand and hold a life with the other. And how sometimes the strongest force is calm that doesn't beg for applause. Whitmore House breathes softly. People laugh in the foyer. In the kitchen they wash the last glasses. Somewhere in the children's corner a soft tower of blocks collapses and someone whispers, "It's all right, we'll build it again." The sky over the bay is deep navy. I press my palm to the warm wood of the table and, as I've learned this year, choose peace again. Tomorrow it will do its work. And today, the house opened.